Thank you for joining us for a regular session. And before we get started tonight, we just want to, once again, we start our work session, express our thoughts and prayers to our friends in the Reynolds School District, the school board and the superintendent, and the entire community who is dealing with the tragedy today, keeping them all in our minds. I'd ask you to please join us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, I will ask Director Solomon will lead us in our student presentation this evening.
So tonight it is my pleasure to introduce three 8th grade members of the Pointer Players: Bryce Duncan, Sydney Katrinick, and Laura Tuffley. Pointer Players is an after-school drama program that's taught by Vanessa Checkerly. And all three of these students have leads in the play, Fall Play. Wait, I can explain. No, that's it. And they also performed in the spring musical, The Magical Land of Oz. They are exceptional improv and sketch comedy, and they've created the comedic sketches that they will be performing tonight. Bryce, Sydney, and Laura all plan on being involved in theater at Liberty High School next year, and please welcome the Players.
Hey, we'd like to present to you two mini skits here. The first one we will perform, we titled The Movie Store. Can we do a brief summary?
No.
We're not going to do a brief summary. We're just going to go with it.
But then the second one called The Ugly Christmas Sweater Party. Yes. Yeah. Okay, now.
Okay, now we can do it.
Okay, you ready for our first customer? I know, it's the first one all week. There's only 2 every week, remember that. That's an average. That's on a good week, though. Yeah!
Hello. My friends were talking about this movie. Now,
Titanic.
I wasn't there.
Jaws.
I wasn't there.
Singing in the Rain.
No, just let me, okay. And I was wondering if it was good enough to watch. Now, I don't remember some of it, so I want you guys to refresh me. So
you react out is what
No, not act out. No.
We're going to give you some examples of some classic movies.
Anyway, and these two people, and they do this one thing, and the genre.
Titanic. Okay.
No, it wasn't Titanic.
No, it wasn't. Wrong one.
Okay, and they did this one thing, and the genre was a horror, action, comedy, adventure, musical, family. It was.
Okay, well here's our movie store right here.
That's your whole collection.
We basically only have 6 movies, but it's classics. Okay, so it's not be this one. There's a lot of romance in this.
The Return of the Living Dead.
Yes. There's a lot of romance and comedy. That's all I remember. It's romance.
I'm not sure those have one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Titanic. This one has a bunch of horror in it, movies, a bunch of fighting.
Sounds awful. I don't
The
want to say
guy
that.
leaves her at the end.
I knew it.
And there's The Wizard of Oz.
I love that movie. It wasn't that one.
You don't know what this movie is. Okay, anyways.
Okay.
There's something that looks like a plant in the background. There's a cat right there. Cat. Cat? She takes the cats on walks. That's a cat.
No, that's not a
You don't take dogs on walks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. Okay. Wonderful Life. This is gotta be my favorite horror movie I've ever seen. It's scary. Just gets the stomach together. Parts of the Caribbean. No. Carrie Bean.
Carrie Bean.
No, it's Carrie Bean.
Okay.
I remember there being. Actually, I've never seen this. I've never seen that. Oh, there it goes.
Singing in the Rain. That
Yeah.
sounds very familiar.
No, it doesn't. This one we actually made together. Yeah. I'm that guy right there. Me?
Really?
She's in the window over here. You can't see her, but if you stare long enough,
Here, let me see this.
No. Okay, so it's gotta be one of these. Please, okay, was there singing? Was there movie?
Your face isn't in.
Yes, it is.
Okay, why is it?
We made there singing in it.
Yes, there was. There was.
It's the Les Mirables. No, it's less. It's less mir. No. Stop. No.
You need to calm down. It doesn't, you don't have that movie.
Okay, the title was in English.
Okay, and it's gotta be, it's this one.
Okay, it's probably none of these 6 movies. I'm just gonna.
It is.
No,
Well, you're taking this one. Yeah,
I'm just gonna go to the movie store.
No, you wanna go? We want to buy.
Yeah, I'm just.
Well, we always have that one other customer.
If it's a good week.
Yeah.
See.
Okay. So now our next skit we titled "Ugly."
Christmas sweater party.
Are we doing a plot summary for this one? Or?
We can do a class. Okay.
So it is an ugly Christmas sweater party, as the title says. And one character wears their grandma's sweater. Because they think it's ugly.
Little does she know, Grandma shows up at the party without an invite. And scene.
I can't wait for this party.
I know. Okay, did you invite Grandma?
No, now look at my shirt, my sweater. Really, it's a real actual shirt. I just took thread and I was putting it through. I made it myself.
I can tell. Well, okay, so this sweater,
Oh, that's one that Grandma got you last 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
she said she knitted it while she was in the hot tub.
I wonder what it's.
It's really gross. Okay, is Uncle Mark and Aunt Brenda coming?
No, they're not coming. I made sure of that. Because Mark, look at this. Hello, Sydney. Because he has this deep, gruff voice.
Yeah, and then he talks so close. Hey.
Yeah, he does exactly. That was a good imitation.
I know. No, and then Aunt Brenda has that really nasty.
Her breath smells like cherry lipstick and dog food.
Yeah, okay. I think that's Stacy. I invited her.
Okay, Stacy always arrives early.
Stacy! Hey! Grandma. Wait.
I'm forgetting something. I gotta make my glasses.
I got her sweater.
Okay, I'll get one of Dad's blazers.
Okay. Grandma!
Oh,
No, I'll touch her. Hello, Grandma. Oh, those are new glasses. They are, right?
Oh.
is this your shirt?
Yes, it is.
Sorry to bring it to some, but that's a girl's shirt.
How did you know?
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
Oh,
Hey, Grandma, what are you doing here?
yeah, because we didn't invite you.
Yeah, you did. You don't have to know.
Oh,
Oh, I need a little bit of help.
oh, okay. There you go. Come on, let's go.
Can I see the Christmas sweater?
Well, you already saw mine. So, and she's not wearing one. She's wearing a blazer.
Yeah.
It's obvious. See, blazer. Yep, it's a blazer.
Is that the sweater I made for you last year?
No.
It wasn't.
Wanna know how I know that's my sweater?
No.
Those are my buttons! Those are my special buttons.
They are her special buttons.
Oh,
Yeah.
got that.
That's my sweater.
It's a very nice sweater, which is why we're wearing it at an ugly sweater Christmas party.
You don't do mine.
I'm not that old. So, you're saying that that's my sweater?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm very sorry, Grandma.
I was making another one in a hot tub last night. Nope, that was the last one. This time, it's in my bath.
You were making it in your bathtub?
Yes.
What's with you and making sweaters in the water?
Well, you see, I don't really have a reason. But I'm just gonna go down. You don't get that sweater.
Okay, I don't really.
I'll stop with the roller.
Oh. Grandma,
Scene.
Guys, can I get your picture?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
let's get a picture.
So while you're setting up, so what was your play this year?
The play or
We did.
The what, play and a musical?
Yeah.
Will you guys say which one you're in right now?
Well, we're in one
In the-
in downtown Hillsboro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heart Theater.
Which one?
Crazy Old Man.
Are we running out of props or no?
Oh,
It's okay. Let's look like we all have crazy sweaters on.
Way to go, Bryce.
All right. One more. All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, just a minute. There's one more presentation. Let me grab the introduction for that.
Talk amongst yourselves.
What's your name? Here you go.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry. You're welcome.
Good evening. I'm Erica Pierce. I'm the school counselor at W.L. Henry. I'm here with 6 of our second grade students and both of our second grade teachers, Jessica Tillman and Tricia Rivera. And we are really glad to be here. At W.L. Henry, we meet in community circles once a week in every class. During our community circle time, we talk about what it means to be a community, and also we learn about each member of our community and what they bring to our community. During community circle time, we've been focusing on identity, and for us, identity has 3 parts that we've been talking about. We've been talking about what our families believe, what we like or enjoy or feel that we do really well, and also what we look like, so what people see when they look at us. In second grade, we did a project called The Best Part of Me that helped us focus on our identity through what we look like. We hosted a art gallery night for our friends and our families to come and see that. And so tonight we're here to share a little bit of that project with you. Thank you for letting us come and share. And I'd also like to say thank you to Steve DePaula, who is the photographer that volunteered his time to take all of our photographs for us. And as you can see, there's several of them around the room, and then you'll also be seeing some of them up here on the screen. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Selena.
The best part of me is my arms. I think it is the best part of me because I can hold things. My arms are good for lifting toys. I love dogs. I have a dog named Carol. My arms look like my mom's. I have an elbow. It bends and helps me eat. I like to hug my mom. I love my mom. My arms help me carry stuff. My arms help me sleep because I put them around me. My arms help me swim. I love my arms. They are the best part of me. pienso que son la mejor parte de mí porque puedo cargar cosas. Mis brazos son buenos para levantar juguetes. Me encantan las muñecas. Tengo una muñeca llamada Lego. Mis brazos se parecen a los de mi mamá. Tengo un codo. Me ayuda a doblarlo y me ayuda a comer. Me encanta abrazar a mi mamá. Amo a mi mamá. Mis brazos me ayudan a cargar cosas. Mis brazos me ayudan a dormir porque los pongo alrededor mío. Mis brazos me ayudan a nadar. Me encanta. Mis brazos son la mejor parte de mí.
And next we have Jeannie.
La mejor parte de mí es mi cara. Es mi mejor parte porque con ella sonrío, puedo oler y puedo ver. Con mi cara muevo mi cabeza de un lado al otro. Mi cara se parece a un círculo. Me gusta mi cara porque me la puedo lavar. Me gusta mi cara porque con ella huelo galletas. Mi mamá hace galletas de chocolate. Mi cara es hermosa. Me encanta mi cara. Es mi mejor parte. The best part of me is my face. I think it is the best part because I can smile, I can smell, and I can see. My face is good for shaking my head. My face looks like a circle. I like my face because I can wash my face. I like my face because it's great for smelling cookies. My mom makes chocolate cookies. It's beautiful. I love my face. I think it's the best part of me.
And next Sophia will be sharing.
The best part of me is my eyes. I think they're the best part of me because I can see nature and more. My eyes are good for looking at my mom and dad. My eyes look beautiful. They are like chocolate. I like my eyes because my mom says they are beautiful. My eyes are good for looking at the teacher. I like my eyes because I can see a whole lot of things. My favorite thing to see is my family and my cousin. I love to play with my cousin Ashley and her sister Shirley. I love my eyes. They're the best part of me. La mejor parte de mí son mis ojos. Es mi mejor parte porque con ellos puedo ver la naturaleza y mucho más. Con mis ojos puedo ver a mi papá y a mi mamá. Mis ojos son lindos, son de color chocolate. Me gustan mis ojos porque mi mamá me dice que son lindos. Mis ojos me sirven para ver a mi maestra. Me gustan mis ojos porque con ellos puedo ver muchas cosas. Mi cosa favorita es ver a mi familia y a mi prima Ashley y su hermana Shirley. Me encantan mis ojos porque son mi mejor parte.
And next, Diego.
La mejor parte de mí son mis nudillos. Creo que son la mejor parte de mí porque puedo doblar tus dedos. Mis nudillos son buenos para poder ayudar a cargar a mi hermano. Mis nudillos se ven zarandeados. Yo tengo 10 nudillos. Cuando yo aprieto mis nudillos y hago un puño puedo ver mis venas. Tus nudillos desaparecen cuando tú abres tus manos. Cuando tocas tus nudillos, ellos se sienten duros como una roca. Si pones tus manos juntas, tus nudillos se conjugan como un rompecabezas. Puedes hacer un sopetón del puño. Me encantan mis nudillos. Pienso que son la mejor parte de mí. The best part of me is my knuckles. I think they are the best part of me because you can bend your fingers. My knuckles are good for helping carry my little book. My knuckles look bumpy. I have 10 knuckles. When I squeeze my knuckles and make a fist, I can see my veins. Your knuckles disappear when you open your hands. When you feel your knuckles, they feel strong like a rock. If you put your hands together, your knuckles fit together like a puzzle. You can do a fist bump. I love my knuckles. I think they're the best part of me.
And now we have Ben.
La mejor parte de mí es mi cara. Yo pienso que es la mejor parte de mí porque yo luzco bien. Mi cara es buena para demostrar mis sentimientos. Cuando la cara está roja, estás molesto. Mi cara se parece a mi primo Nancy. Él es pequeño. Él me imita. Mi cara me protege mi cerebro. Me encanta mis ojos grandes color café oscuro. Me encanta mi cara porque tengo un poco para comer chilaquiles. Estos son bien buenos. Me gusta mi cara porque tiene una nariz. Puedo respirar a través de mi nariz. Me encanta mi cara. Es la mejor parte de mí. The best part of me is my face. I think it is the best part of me because I look good. My face is good for showing what I know. When my face is red, it's because I am mad. My face looks like my cousin Nancy. He's smaller and he copies me. My face protects my brain. I like my big brown eyes. I like my face because I'm healthy and chill. They're really good. I like my face because it has a nose. I can breathe through my nose. I love my face. It is the best part of me.
And now, Daniel.
The best part of me is my hair. I think it is the best part of me because it is so fluffy. My hair is good for fluffing. My hair looks and feels like a very thick rug. That's what my dad says. The color of my hair is brown. I think it is red, brown, and maybe a mixture of black. That is my mommy's hair color. I love fluffing my hair. I love my hair very much. It is the best part of me. La mejor parte de mí es mi pelo. Es mi mejor parte porque es abundante y me lo puedo alborotar. Me encanta tocarme el pelo. Mi pelo se ve y se siente como una alfombra gruesa. Eso es lo que mi papá me dice. El color de mi pelo es café. Yo creo que es rojo, café y un poco de negro. Ese es el color del pelo de mi mamá. Me gusta alborotarme el pelo. Me encanta mi pelo, es mi mejor parte.
Thank you very much for letting me share our project with you.
Maybe you guys can pose and then point to what you said was your favorite part. I want both fingers in the hair. Oh yeah, point at your best part. Can you do it? 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. 1, 2. Excellent.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing. Love it. Thank you for allowing us to participate. It's amazing to me the difference between a second grader and maybe a 10th grader. I think a 10th grader, especially a girl, have a hard time getting up and articulating because of her best part.
Yeah, that is true.
I love that. Okay, with that, I would need a motion for the agenda.
A motion to approve the agenda as printed.
I second. Any questions? It's been moved by Janine, seconded by Adriana to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will move forward. And now is our audience time. We have one audience member who wants to speak to us. Chris, I'll have you go ahead and come up while I walk through the logistics. Public participation in board meetings is governed by policy BDDH. Patrons may comment on specific agenda items at the beginning of the meeting or at the discretion of the board chair. They may be deferred to the time the item is before the board as stated in the agenda. Comments about non-agenda items will be heard during audience time at the beginning of our regular board meeting. Speakers shall be limited to 3 minutes. And Chris, this one's a little bit more formal. If you could start with your name and your address, and then
I'm Carissa Martis, and my address is 20397 Southwest Skyway Drive, Aloha, Oregon, 97007. I want to thank you for inviting the Life Skills Reverse Mainstream class to perform for your April board meeting. They had a lot of fun, and it was a privilege for our kids to show off their skills despite the difficulties they deal with. I know you love and appreciate them. It's been a blessing to work with the Life Skills Reverse Mainstream class when my time allowed. I've received high compliments from visitors, parents, teachers, and board members about how successful these students are in their specialized music class. We've been able to work with concepts listed on their IEPs, such as colors, numbers, adding, and sorting for the 4th through 6th grade LSC students. The hand-picked peer helpers love coming, and they don't get frustrated with noises or movements of the LSC students. Despite this success, I regret to inform you that PE and music staffing at Watama is so tight, it currently looks like the adapted music class has to be cut. The district's formula for PE and music staffing accounts for general classrooms only and no additional adapted music. The special students have legal right to access all subject curriculum, and luckily we do have an adapted PE for SPED students. Unfortunately, the district currently does not have any money allocated for adapted music classes, separate from general music classes. According to the American Music Therapy Association, research supports connections between speech and singing, rhythm and motor behavior, memory for song and memory for academic material, and overall ability of preferred music to enhance mood, attention, and behavior to optimize the student's ability to learn and interact. I, as well as other SPED teachers, hope Watama is an example of how beneficial a separate reverse mainstream class can be. Other schools are also affected by the way that music is counted in the workload. Ruth Gillison commented, "For the first time since Patterson opened, The self-contained classroom for grades 3 through 6 will not have a music slot next year. The reason is an addition of another general classroom teacher and failure to increase specialist time at the school. Blake Allen says he teaches a separate class for life skills at Orenco this year, but it was not originally on the special schedule. He chose to use one of his preps to give a music class that meets their needs. Unfortunately, he is unsure if Orenco will be able to continue it next year due to tight scheduling. I and other music specialists are excited to work with the district to find creative solutions to better help serve our SPED students through music. I hope we can work on improving this staffing and justice for the SPED kids and their specialist teachers. Any suggestions or advice is appreciated. Let me know what I can do. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to our district.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to thank you for bringing this to our attention, and suggestions and advice will be coming to you for that, actually. This is something we want to address, and we just need to talk about the specifics on how we can help remedy this. Obviously, a program that we value, and we want our students to be included on a regular basis. So we will be back in touch and be looking forward to problem solving this with you. So thanks for bringing it to our attention.
All right. And next, I'd be looking for a motion for the consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept for the consent agenda as printed. Thank you.
Second?
Anyone have any questions? So it's been moved by Janine, seconded by Eric to approve the consent agenda as printed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we'll move into the first of a lengthy list of action items this evening. And the first one is to approve a resolution for the general bond refunding that we discussed during our budget meeting this evening. Adam.
Right. We've been talking about the bond refunding now for a couple of weeks. This would enable us to repay some bonds that are due to mature in 2025-26. We'll pay them off early and save our taxpayers about $9 million. But in order to do that, we need the board to authorize us. The resolution you have in front of you today authorizes us to move forward with this, authorizes the superintendent, myself, and the manager of business services to act on behalf of the school district to complete all the paperwork, go through the bond rating process, and close on the deal. So happy to answer. You're right, it's a very lengthy thing.
The resolution, we do not need to read into record the lengthy resolution. Can it be just the recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's the motion I would be looking for, is the recommendation on the bottom of page 15, rather than reading it the entire resolution. Okay.
I make a motion to adopt the attached resolution authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of general obligation refunding.
Thank you. I second. Anyone have any questions?
I would like to have Janine read it into the record.
I want to go home before midnight, so yeah, Janine.
I'm not going to read it, but I am going to say that I appreciate all the information that's come, that Adam has provided, as well as we have budget committee members that are very active and really, read everything that they are given to them and ask their questions. And that is the role that we are asked to do, is to seek clarification and ask questions when needed. So I thank you for the information and for saving taxpayers over $9 million.
We like that headline.
Yeah.
Yes. Any other questions or comments? So it's been moved by Janine and seconded by Adriana to approve the resolution for general obligation bond refunding. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Adam. And the next is to approve a licensed elementary staff computer purchase. Starting with Adam.
Starting with me, in the 2014-15 bonded budget, we have allocated money for technology, as you'll recall, and we've got, this is the first of our purchases with those dollars. What you have is a 3-year lease purchase for computers, 650 staff computers. We have purchased these through a cooperative purchasing agreement through the Oregon Education Technology Consortium, OETC, and I'm happy to answer questions about the lease itself. Don can answer questions about the hardware. So if you answer questions.
Great. So board members, if we could start with a motion and then we can do questions and comments.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase lease agreement with Apple Inc. by a resolution for the purpose described above in compliance with district laws.
Perfect. And second?
Second.
Thank you. All right. Questions, comments? Yeah,
Just a comment on this, being kind of one of the resident tech guys who work in the industry. I did read this over pretty carefully, and one of the things that pops to my mind that I just wanted to address in case anyone else was reading is that, you know, these computers are listed at a bit over $1,000 a piece, and a lot of people might think, well, you know, you can buy a computer for $300 or $400 out there, why don't we do that? And so what I would say to that really is that typically if you have a business class of laptop, this is actually a pretty competitive price. Dell is one of the big competitors. My own company, a multinational company, uses, and we pay that or more for those. So these are really good particular units that we're asking for. I just want to say, so it's competitive. So you do get what you pay for because these are very capable machines. And they're necessary for the mission.
Anyone else? Okay, so it's been moved by Glenn, seconded by Eric to approve the elementary staff computer purchase. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, John, and thank you, Adam. It'll be exciting for staff to have computers that work with synergy. And the next action item is to approve the compensation for non-union employees for the next school year. Debbie.
Thank you. So annually, the board, one of the actions the board takes is to authorize the compensation for our non-union employee groups. And that would be our executive management, our administrators, and our supervisor technical employees. So the proposal before you tonight is to increase their compensation package of all three of those employee groups, the equivalent of what would be a step for those groups. And so it's approximately 3.4%. That aligns with the increases that we've been giving to our bargaining units, our licensed and classified employees for next year. A portion of that increase will be used to increase the district contribution to the insurance, and I'll bring it to $1,075, so all of our employee groups will be at the same compensation level. The remainder of that the use of that will be determined by each separate group. We have what we call meet and confer with the groups, and we talk about how they want to expend the rest of that money. So each group has the autonomy to do that. But it'll be the same compensation package as all of our other employee groups in value. Also, there are a couple other recommendations in the proposal to you. One of them is that we update the language for the administrative agreement around reimbursement for courses they take at an accredited university. Currently, the agreement says that there are 12 hours, university hours at the Portland State rate is what administrators would get reimbursed for every year. We wanted to update that language and say that it would be equivalent to that value of the 12 hours because our administrators take classes at different universities and some of them cost more. So if we give this a dollar value every year to what the 12 credit hours the value is, our administrators can apply it to whatever the university is that they're going to attend. So there's no increase in the cost, it just broadens the use for our administrators on that. Also, a part of that in the recommendation for administrators is that administrators would be able to take part of that tuition reimbursement money and actually apply it for professional development. Many of our administrators are not working on their credential or another degree, but they want to continue to have professional development. And our principals in particular have had to draw money out of their building funds for their own professional development, which has really kept them from doing that because we've had such limited funds, they want to make sure that their staff gets it. So this would allow them to use a portion of that value to have some professional development for them. The other recommendation is around the tuition reimbursement for supervisor technical. Currently, there is no limit on the number of college credits that they can take and be reimbursed for. So the proposal is actually placing a limit on that of up to 6 quarter hours a year, and they can accumulate a certain number over 3 years. But it's kind of bringing it in and saying we're going to restrict this to 6 quarter hours at Portland State rate and put a limit on that. The final recommendation is to add some language to the administrator MOA, and the language is general language. It's a statement of professional expectations for our administrators that we're proposing to add to their MOA.
Okay.
Questions?
So they get a motion on the table. We'll come to you for questions, Debbie. Don't all jump at once.
No, I'm rather talkative tonight, so I'll continue. I make a motion to approve the 2014-15 individual contracts with executive management, administrators, and supervisory technical specialist employees.
And I'll second that.
Perfect. Questions and comments for Debbie? Debbie, this sounds really familiar to what we did with the licensed teacher contract around professional development and teaching reimbursements. Is that, I'm assuming that was sort of the guidance. Any other questions or comments?
I was just going to say that I really appreciate making sure that, you know, when you're looking at all these insurance levels and everything, just getting everyone on that same playing field there with that amount, I think is a very fair process. And I know that I just appreciate the time involved in working on that.
All right, seeing no other comments, it's been moved by Jeannie and seconded by Glenn to approve the compensation for non-employee unions for 2014-15. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And following up on our discussion earlier this evening with around the superintendent's performance, I am going to read into the record the letter that we would like to add to the superintendent's personnel file following a very, what's the word I use? An excellent evaluation after an exhaustive process. So I will start with the letter and then I'll put it in for a motion. This is long, sorry. Dear Superintendent Scott, the Hillsboro School District Board of Directors has completed your evaluation for 2013-14 according to policy CBG evaluation of the superintendent. This year's standards-based model included 360-degree feedback from selected stakeholders, a board survey, and a self-evaluation as a pilot project to examine your leadership and operational performance. In the 5th year of your superintendency, you continue to be a strong and respected leader throughout our district and community. You were evaluated on the 8 standards for superintendent's performance, including leadership and culture, policy and governance, communication and community relations, organizational management, curriculum planning, instructional leadership, human resources management, and values and ethics. The board used a 4-point scale with the following descriptive terms: exceeding, proficient, developing, and does not meet. Overall, the board's view of your performance is solidly between proficient and exceeding on every standard. Your highest rated standards were leadership and culture and values and ethics. You continually demonstrate outstanding leadership skills, building strong relationships in the community, at the district office, and in school buildings. Board members once again recognized your efforts to build relationships with individual staff members. The growing level of accountability was also noted by the board and staff. You are creating a culture of high expectations for all staff, especially building administrators. We appreciate the regular strategic plan updates and other data that detail this work. You are a person with demonstrated integrity and character. You surround yourself with knowledgeable and dedicated people, and you bring out the strengths of your team members. We appreciate the return of the Future Leaders Group and believe this is just one example of your mentoring skills. Local businesses and elected officials see you as a leader in our community. We know that you have the ability to influence decision-making at the state and local levels. We believe this is one area where you can stretch your leadership to have an even greater impact. The board is pleased with the progress of the College and Career Pathways work, and we believe this is an area that will continue to grow. We look forward to the ongoing improvement in the structure of the city's Curriculum Advisory Committee, as well as the overall communication plan that will continue with curriculum requirements and changes. Your focus on community relations this year was tremendous. The number of outreach opportunities and types of opportunities is an improvement. You have made yourself available in a variety of formats to staff and the community. Not only have you created feedback loops through these forums, you and your team have followed through with those connections. We believe your continued investment in communications and community relations is incredibly valuable. Your vision for our ELL and minority students is exemplary. You believe in our mission statement and you work each day to make it a reality. We are proud of your commitment to create great learning options for students from dual language to STEM to the Hillsboro Online Academy. Mike, this year has been an upswing for you in many ways. We are thrilled that your physical wellness has returned while our state's financial outlook has made a positive turn. This year, you welcomed new board members, launched a technology bond campaign, revamped the process for sharing data with the board, successfully managed a boundary change process, and prepared for our first round of budget additions in 7 years. You kept the strategic plan and students at the center of it all, keeping us well informed each step of the way. We look forward to working with you in our pursuit of measurable objectives for the success for the district. We thank you for your consistent leadership and dedication to engage and challenge all learners to ensure academic excellence. Yeah. And if I could get a motion and then take any comments.
I'll make a motion that the board commend the superintendent for his leadership of the Hillsboro School District and direct that the evaluated aged letter be placed in his personnel file.
Second.
Thank you. Any further comments on the evaluation? Jean?
I have a few comments that I wanted to say that I really appreciate and having Mike at the helm of our district. Having been on the board for 5 years now, I have, Mike has been the leader of this district for the 5 years, and I find him to have such incredible high integrity and his honesty, and I think that that's really well respected from parents and staff members when they know that he comes from a real place, and I appreciate that. I'm not comfortable in the role of evaluation. It is our main objective, one of our main objectives. Mike has so the school board has one employee, and that's the superintendent. And so Mike has the privilege of being able to manage 7 bosses. And essentially, that's when he has to juggle relationships and communication and understanding where everyone's perspectives and everything that's coming from. And I think he does a fine job of it. He surrounds himself with high caliber folks in his departments, in his staff, in the entire district. When you look at such examples as curriculum, and you go and sit down and have a conversation with Steve Larson in his curriculum area, and you see the work, the high-level work that they do as a cabinet is impressive. And then you see that the vision on his wall, what he does to organize his thoughts, to make sure that the work that Mike directs and the board directs for the strategic plan is something that his whole department really looks for. And they make sure that they have these 7 points that they're always focusing on in the curriculum department and, in the Office of School Performance. And number 1 is that college and career pathways. I've had the privilege of being involved in that, and Mike has led this effort to be an incredibly successful program that is continuing to grow. It is getting bigger and better, and it involves a lot of community members. And I think that people are willing to come and be around that table because they understand your leadership and they understand your commitment to this district and the students. And I just look forward to seeing that continue to grow. And I just wrote down so many things here, but I know that there's so many areas of this district that you touch on, and that you make sure that you're putting those folks in this area to be strong leaders. And Matt said this so well, and I'm going to say this. I just love that the safest, that you really strive to make sure we have the safest and most productive environment for our students and our staff members. And I think that that's recognized. I appreciate all your efforts, and I think that we're a very incredibly lucky district to have you as the leader. Eric?
So I think, there's been in this letter and what Janine said, a lot of good things said about Mike, and I agree with all of them. One thing I want to point out is just, I was elected last year on a platform of sort of disagreeing with a lot of what was going on in the district, and in many ways that hasn't really changed that much, as you've heard me at these meetings. But I've been impressed with the way Mike has reached out and been willing to work with me, even though a lot of the time I've been kind of a pain in his you-know-what, questioning a lot of things that a lot of people here take for granted. So I really think, Mike's been a great communicator and great at sort of working with all of us on the board. Now, I do want to mention I have one slight disagreement with this letter, and so I'm going to vote against it, not because I disagree with anything in it. Like I said, I think Mike's great in a lot of ways, but one thing that I do fundamentally disagree with here is that I do think we need to somehow, somewhere in the letter that's evaluating the superintendent, mention the district's overall academic performance. And while this district has been doing well in a lot of areas, we do have some dark spots. In particular, we have 2 schools that were rated level 1 on the state report cards this year. And I really think the letter evaluating the superintendent should have a section talking about the overall academic performance of the district and areas in which it's fallen short of what we want. So that's where I kind of disagree a little bit with it. But like I said, don't take it as me, giving a thumbs down on Mike or anything. I do think he's done a great job.
Adriana?
First, Mike, I wanted to say mil gracias. 1,000 thank yous for all your work. I remember the first year on the board in evaluation, I was like, wow, I'm going to evaluate the superintendent. And really, we've come a long way. I'm really, really proud of it. And there is dark spots, but you know what? You are a beacon of light that sheds light on our dark spots. You're not afraid to say we do have dark spots, and that's why we're here. I think your leadership has greatly inspired and influenced in how we work together as a board. I'm really truly impressed in how we work together as a board. Like I said, from the first year evaluation, it's come a long way. I feel blessed to be part of this school district, to see the growth and the risk that you have taken and putting yourself out there, being vulnerable and really learning and listening in areas that that aren't your, Mike, you're not perfect at everything, okay? I know, I just have to say that. But, making sure that you surround yourself with leaders and administrators who honor who you are, and also open to learning and opening to exploring and opening to engaging. So I've been told, and I said from the first, evaluation, I really truly believe that you were a leader to take us in that direction. And I just want to let you know, and this is living proof. Our kiddos that we saw here, and so impressive to see that flip about, and say her name, me gusta el libro de Carol, and I just love that. And, the fluffy hair, and, I know a lot of these things we're not going to see reflected in our data, and not to take we have to keep our eye, I do agree on that, but, I think we're pushing and we're going in a direction, and we're really, putting Hillsboro on the map. And there's a lot of people that I've talked to that are really excited, staff, amongst all the challenges financial, but are really excited to be part of working with Hillsboro and the work we're doing. And really, I've had someone just tell me recently, we're going to put Hillsboro on the map. We are going to make the best practices. And when I look at the culture, when I used to work in, not work, but with outside agencies come into the school district as to when I came on the board, like I said, again, we've come a long way, in that sense. And it's an amazing culture. To go into schools, I know I tend to see things through rose-colored glasses, but it's real. I can feel it. And I'm just really excited. Thank you.
Wendy.
I would like to disagree with Eric. I don't think we have dark spots. I think we have areas that we can improve on, just like any organization. And I appreciate Mike's thick skin sometimes. When we're asking questions, sometimes we don't phrase them the way we probably should. So I appreciate his thick skin. And I think the staff that he's assembled here kind of gives testament to the kind of leader he is. We have top-notch cabinet, and whenever the board asks for information or clarification, we get it, and we don't get it with a lot of spin. So I appreciate that, and I think that all reflects on Mike.
I'm just going to say ditto, Monty. I'm surprised that I thought we had consensus on this letter, and so I'm disappointed that we have one abstention vote. And I wanted to thank the board members who worked really hard on revamping this process. I know you spent a lot of time working on that, and I think that it was a delight to hear what other people in the 360-degree feedback had to say, and to share information with us that we don't always get to see through our lens. So kudos on that. Don't think about leaving. And with that, the motion on the table was made by Glenn and seconded by Monty to approve the letter and have it placed in the superintendent's file. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed?
Nay.
Can you have the count of that, Val? Perfect. Motion carries. And the next piece that follows that is to extend the superintendent's contract by a year. And so it's in our packet. We discussed it earlier this evening in work session that the superintendent's employment contract will be extended by 1 year through June 30th, 2017. His compensation package will receive the same equivalent increase as we just gave earlier this evening to the non-union employee groups. And a portion of that will go to his insurance, monthly insurance cap. So I'll be looking for a motion and then any questions.
I'll make a motion that the board approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Hillsboro School District Board of Directors approves the 2014-15 individual contract for the superintendent with a 1-year extension through June 30th, 2017.
Thank you. Questions, comments? We covered those earlier this week. So, it's been moved by Glenn, seconded by Janine to approve the contract and extend it. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're stuck with this for next year. And the next item on the agenda is to approve our board meeting dates. We discussed them, had a first look at them last month. And we're coming back to you with one change to do the summer work session, to break it up into 2 sessions, one on the 13th and one on the 14th. Val, can you remind me, do we have times penciled in for those?
Yes.
I know, and I can't remember. I want to say we did one that was a late afternoon into evening, and one that was more of an afternoon.
Yeah, I can tell you.
I don't know if that makes a difference for people for voting, because the times aren't really part of the resolution, but if anyone needs to know that,
What are the towns?
they're looking them up.
If we're doing.
But really, do we have to know the times now? Because we have the dates. That's what,
Mike switched up, so.
that's what we're voting for.
Anyone like to know the times before they go?
Well, times were related to whether it was worth taking 1 day or 2 days to do it.
I think we said 2 days.
Yeah, we did break it up into 2 days.
But if you eat half my day,
Oh, gotcha.
then if you were going to consume a significant portion, I was under the belief that these were both late afternoon to evening sessions.
Yeah, we had one. Steve, remind me, which one was the evening?
The 14th was what we moved to an afternoon.
14th was going to be the afternoon? Yeah. Okay. 14th was going to be the afternoon, and then the 13th
time
was
of
going
the
to be...
afternoon?
So I believe we said from 1 to 5.
And the time on the 13th would be?
5 to 9, if I remember correctly.
Okay. 5 to 9.
I move we approve the board meeting dates for the 2014-15 school year.
Thank you.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Okay, then moved by Monty, seconded by Janine to approve the board meeting dates. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and we'll get invites out for all those in the coming weeks, so if everyone gets a calendar. Next is the first of two high school course proposals that we learned about last month, and tonight we will take action on them. Travis.
Thank you. Lisa Allen is here with me again tonight. Last time we came with the recommendation of the Citizens Curriculum Advisory Committee to approve the course proposal by Brooke Nova at Glencoe High School for the Community Service Learning Elective. And we hope tonight the board approves that course.
Are we going with that?
I make a motion to approve the proposed high school course, Community Service Learning Elective.
I second.
It's like everyone's already on summer vacation. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Travis this afternoon?
I think my comments are just going to be, I'm really excited about this opportunity for students. Visiting Miller last week when I was there visiting their school and seeing the amount of community service and involvement that they have, and to be able to take, hopefully just grow this program throughout the district. Because I really truly believe when students have a connection and with their community, it only enhances them as a better learner and inside the classroom. Is that a word, learner? But anyway, I just wanted to, I appreciate this process. I appreciate I was such a fan of that last month, having the students and citizens curriculum and staff members here. I think that was a kudos move.
Thank you.
Did you comment on that?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I'm also in favor of this, and so I'm going to vote for it, but I do have, I guess maybe hopefully not construed as a negative comment, but one thought that occurred to me was that, volunteering is very special. And the kids that do this, and they go out of their way to do that, to earn the course, and then to put it on their career thing so that they get into better schools. It means something because it's hard and difficult for them to do it. I wonder if I realize that it helps the community well, but if we give them the opportunity during school time where they could be doing other things, to be volunteering, in some way it makes it less valuable as far as like a credit that goes on, because they didn't go out of their way to go do it instead of like, after school I bike 5 miles away to go volunteer in some, So that's the only hesitancy that I have for this. I think it's fantastic because, I love providing options for, for the students who want this, just a different way to serve, but, that's the one little tiny reservation that I have behind it. But in the end, I've concluded that there's more good than not, and since we're not forcing the kids to do that, I'm okay with it. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Excuse me, sorry, I hold up. Just to reply to that, I hear what you're saying absolutely and appreciate your growth anyway. But just as an example, some of the students that we talked to, for them, it was more a matter of them not being able to go out and volunteer if it weren't an option to do during the school day, because then they had younger siblings they had to go home and take care of, or they had to go to work in order to help their family, pay rent. And so it would be a sacrifice they would be able to make. So we're hoping that by offering this opportunity, it gives more equal access to those students. But you're right, in some cases it could be, kind of an easy way to not, have to skip out on an afternoon with your friends as possible. But we're hoping to give more opportunity.
Well, I think it's better than just early release. Right. We're not sure exactly what they're doing, right? Or they're giving up an elective to serve their community when they, so we've got Eric and now come back to Janine.
Can I reply really quickly to these two? I'd be happy to share that feedback with Ms. Nova also. I would like to say that the students who are here sharing are part of a CTE program, a career and technical education program in early childhood education. And so their community service was actually related and an extension of some coursework they're doing to prepare for college and career. So it's a special opportunity for them to actually apply the skills that they're learning in that class. Just an additional idea of what this course could do for students.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, so I think you already answered Glenn's point, but yeah, I just want to say, I think it's a critical equity concern that, it's been for a while expected that on college applications, you've listed all the zillions of hours you spent volunteering, and we do have kids who just can't do that because of family circumstances. So because of that, I think this is really important. And so I really like this a lot.
And let's not forget too about those kids that they're benefiting when you look at the BLAST program. And just talking with the STEM meeting at Tobias, and they were trying to figure out how they were going to run their girls after school STEM club. And I suggested, looking into students who are, STEM focused and can help them. And so I think it's a win-win for so many people. And I say go.
Monty?
I'd like to disagree with Glenn. I think it's, by making it a accredited course, I think we established that it's very important. We think it's very important to give back to the community. And I think that stands on its own. We don't push that as much in this society as it has been in past generations, I guess. And so I think by making it an accredited course, I think we established that it's very important. And I just had another comment on, we're making this pass-fail, and in the future, I'd like to see it graded, and just because I think students would do more, I think. I mean, embellish whatever they're doing. Pass-fail, you show up, you do a good job for that hour or something, but I think if you're graded, then you start thinking above that. You start thinking, how can I improve this process? How can I improve this program? So that's my
Curiosity, are we gonna, just an example, students, high school seniors going to an elementary school to volunteer, every day within our own? Because I would love to see, some of our high school students work in the classroom on a regular basis. Okay, go ahead.
I hear demand for that too from schools.
I'm sure.
It might be every other day given our every other day-ish.
Yeah, whatever the schedule is.
In the life of the volunteering students. I think that's part of the idea, especially with our those CTE programs that are gearing our high school students towards the education profession. That's the perfect spot for them to learn to be teachers.
And I do agree with Monty, maybe start looking at next year. I don't know ABC grade, I don't know, but just looking at something that's going to, yeah.
Thank you, I'll share that feedback.
And if you could please tell Ms. Nova, thank you for bringing the proposal forward for us.
Will do.
Any other comments? Okay, so it has been moved by Janine, seconded by Adriana to approve the community service learning elective. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The one time Ms. Nova is not here on a late Tuesday night. And she's somewhere in a ballgame.
She's representing the district at the Hillsboro 2020 Vision Town Hall.
She's always working out there. Travis, you also have the mariachi course proposal for it.
Thank you, and Lisa Allen is here again to represent the Citizens Curriculum Advisory Committee, and Dan Bossart is actually here too to listen to the comments of the board and to cheer, hopefully.
All right, so looking for a motion?
To make a motion that the board of directors approve the proposed new high school course mariachi.
I will second that.
Awesome. Any questions, comments? Yeah.
Just want to make a comment. This is going to be a fantastic offering. I look forward to seeing the kids just enjoying this and learning a lot. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Janine?
I think I'm excited. This is all about engaging learners, and so if you can make them more comfortable in their school surrounding, I think that's a positive. And when you have community supporters such as Hillsboro Schools Foundation that support the efforts even at the younger age, I think it's just another win-win.
Thank you so much for doing that.
And I just want to thank you again for bringing the students. I thought their stories were very touching, and better than hearing from an administrator tell us what the course could do. It was great to hear straight from them about how impactful this experiences have been for them. And so, and not that we don't like hearing who's this curriculum committee and Well, it's key, but I think sometimes students are the best advocates for students, and so I appreciated that you brought them all to us to see. So, okay, with that, it's been moved by Janine, seconded by Glenn, to approve the mariachi elective at the high school. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, and then we have a number of policies that were on first read that we're going to go through. The first one is policy JFJFA, students' rights and responsibilities. Casey.
Yes, so I was here on May 27th to present this policy to you. During the meeting, Glenn had brought up a concern for me to follow up with OSBA on including students' rights and search and seizure into the policy. I was able to follow up with them, and they indicated they didn't recommend us putting that in the language. Was able to communicate that with Glenn, and he had asked me to ask a different question for them, which I did. And I emailed, Val emailed OSBA with some language that I had asked them to do, and I'm going to read it to you, and then I'll read their response so you can weigh all the options. So I asked them to include in section number 3 the right to due process of law with respect to suspension, expulsion, searches, and seizure of personal property and decisions which the student believes injure his or her rights. The response was from OSBA, the answer is we do not recommend adding this as there is a separate policy on search and seizure that addresses the specific issues related to due process and other issues unique to this issue. So I wanted to share the information that Glenn had brought up, and then the response on a couple occasions with OSBA, so you were able to weigh in.
Okay. So if I can get a motion first, and then we'll do comments. Yeah.
Okay. I recommend the Board of Directors approve the recommended revisions to policies JF, JFA, student rights and responsibilities, JFC, student conduct and discipline, and JG, student discipline.
Thank you. I will second it. Good heavens, it's a rough audience tonight. All right, comments and questions. Yeah, Glenn.
Okay, so I didn't jump up because I do have some reservations here. I'm planning on voting no on this policy as written. I think that it is important that we as a board recognize that there is a civil right that we have to protect. I recognize that this policy is delineated further in other things that we have on our packet. But I think it is one of those central tenets that people do have a right to respect. Granted, kids have, or students have a limited set of rights when they're in our doors. And our main goal is to ensure the health and safety of all of our students. But at the same time, we don't want to trample other people's rights in that process. And so, to me, it's important enough, just maybe I'm a protest point, maybe I'll be the only one to say it, but I will vote no, not because I don't believe in most of this, but just because I really think that regardless of the recommendation by OSBA, should be added there.
Okay. Anyone else?
Can we refer to the other without putting the language in here?
Well, can you give me an example?
Just related to whatever student rights.
Issues of seizure.
Yeah.
Search and seizure.
Refer to
Or detailed in policy.
detailed policy.
I mean, is that kind of the same thing? I mean, with the language that you quoted? I mean, you didn't say specific.
You want the, what exactly do you
Well,
want?
could you mind reading that part of that again, please?
The recommended language that I proposed to them?
Yes,
for
please,
the
yeah.
response.
That one little part of it.
And one of the things what OSBA had responded to in the first go-around was that while search and seizure is the issue that we're talking about now, there are a lot of other policies that are involved with students' rights, and it would be too comprehensive to list every single one of them as you would go through. So that was part of their responses to saying that this is a general policy. Those other student policies are referenced in other things that go into more detail. So, okay, in section number 3,
What we proposed was the right to due process of law with respect to suspension, expulsion, searches and seizure of personal property, and decisions which the student believes injure his or her rights.
So just 4 words added to it, basically. 4 or 5.
Narrow focused words though.
It's true, it is narrow focused. But, in a way, so is many of these other things like due process. It says you have due process of law. So I just feel it's important enough to include it there. I get it that we can't put every single situation, under the sun, under these policies, otherwise we would have something we couldn't deal with. But this is an area of emerging law that I think is one of those limits that should be, that we place on ourselves, that we honor that, and the students should know that we honor that. That's where I'm coming from.
Eric?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Glenn here. It does seem like that's something that's important. It is addressed in more detail in other policies. This is sort of stating the general philosophy that's directing the other policies that we have. Right, so I don't think it's a bad thing to also mention it here.
So I'm sorry. The number 3 that you wrote, I read, is different than the number 3 here?
Right.
So you're
Oh, yeah,
suggesting-
sorry. Number 3 in the policy, it basically has everything I said except the searches and seizure of personal property. I'll read it. The right to due process of law with respect to suspension, expulsion, and decisions which the student believes injure his or her rights. That's the OSBA recommended policy. We had asked them on Glenn's request to include searches and seizure of personal property within that. And their response was they don't recommend it.
Okay, so I don't see anything wrong with putting it in, no? I mean, what's the downside of putting it in?
Yeah, Wayne?
So the question, what's the cohesive thought that brings you to say the other ones here? Suspension, expulsion, and decisions. So I take it that there's suspensions, expulsions, and decisions, all of which the student believes injure his or her rights. I don't know whether that the student believes portion attaches only to decisions or whether it's the whole list there. So I'm just asking what's kind of the cohesive rule for why it does include those 3 words?
The language that they said to me is that this is the recommendation of their interpretation of federal and state laws, and that was what they should include in the policy.
Our understanding was that ORS specifically call those out to be mentioned. So that's
And I
why.
would read them as it's because on the line before you have access to free public school, and this would be the exception when you would not. If you do something that's worthy of you being suspended or expelled, you lose your right to the free public education. That's how I read it.
To be fair, we were kind of looking for a good place to put it, so it didn't necessarily, I wasn't stuck on it having to be in point 3. Just it seemed like the easiest place to stick it.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Adrian, and then Judy.
Well, I'm wondering because, our Fourth Amendment protects our right to search and seizure, and maybe these aren't in there. These are there because they're not part, I think it's written out in our federal laws. I think sometimes when we try to put too much and, put too much specific words, I think we might convolute things a little bit too much. I don't know, but there's, federal laws and people's civil rights that, they're written in our law of government, but do they have to be in the I'm just curious.
So is due process. Again,
Well, that's all part of it.
I understand, but what elevates one piece, and I apologize for talking out of turn.
Yeah, but I just know that's okay. It's a discussion, and I'm wondering, all of that is part of due process. We're protected as citizens, or and so I'm just wondering what difference is it going to make having search and seizure on either ends? Why? I'm just wondering. I think sometimes when we add them too much,
Janine?
I have concerns because sometimes I'm rather surprised at the length that this conversation takes for these types of policies and upstairs and whatnot. And I understand that clarification and questions, are good to have. But I think that when we pay a service through OSBA, through our own legal counsel, OSBA isn't just a board of folks that sit there. They have their own legal counsel that look at federal and state law. And that's one of the services that we pay to have them look at our policies. And I think that when you have a policy, you have, as we discussed upstairs, you have a policy and then you have the work of the AR that follows the policy. So it's the training and the work that follows this. And so I think that it would be really a mistake for us to take such policy and reword things that will put us in a bind when there already is a search and seizure policy elsewhere in our lovely book of policies. That I think that needs to be where it needs to remain. And I think that when you have an organization such as that is strongly suggesting that you don't, I think we go with that. And I'm kind of surprised at the amount of conversation like this is a huge issue in our district, and I'm just kind of surprised by it.
I think often enough as we have looked at policies that come from OSB, I remember specifically either Adam or Steve or both at some points or other, we've gone back with questions, and I don't think that even they take as golden all the recommendations they come, and we've often enough throughout time found places where we wanted to clarify specific to our district reasons that reflect the community and values that are here. So I don't have any problem with taking recommendations from respected groups and then discussing them and seeing if all the words apply in our case. I don't think that there's anything in that discussion that degrades or dismisses the quality or importance of what they're saying, because they're not claiming that there's a mandate that they have all knowledge on what should be done. So that said, I don't have a personal opinion on this particular item. I just think it's completely fair that this is the heart of the business that we do here, much more than other places we spend time that restate things that we've already well covered. So I appreciate the conversations, because I think this is discussion of policy is critical, one of the most critical tasks we do.
All right, so the motion on the table is to approve the policies as they're currently written. If you vote yes on that, that would maintain the same, and then we'll go from there. Yeah.
So before we do that, then, as a point of order, if I make a motion to amend this, then that's my right to do that. Okay. Well,
You have to, you'd have to amend that before we could vote on this then, if that's what you want.
Okay. All right, well then, I would make a motion that we would include the language that Casey quoted back that we developed. I don't want to make him say it again, in point 3 of this policy.
Second.
So it's been moved by Glenn and seconded by Eric to amend the motion, adding language in section 3. All those in, and I'm assuming we've had enough.
Can you read it again?
Yes, absolutely. Number 3, the right to due process of law with respect to suspension, expulsion, searches and seizure of personal property, and decisions which the student believes injure his/her rights.
Thank you. All right, so all those in favor of the motion to amend number 3, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh wait, let's do a show of hands, I'm sorry. Are you a show of hands, yes?
Oh,
Aye?
sorry.
Thank you. Okay, and all those opposed? So motion carries. And then I would need a new motion to approve the policies now that we have the amended policy. Is that correct?
We have a motion on the table. Should we just amend it?
Yeah,
We already
Vote on the motion.
Okay,
as-
so if you, perfect, so if you, yes, so it was initially moved by Janine and seconded by...
With the change language.
Right, so if you approve this motion, it would be approving the motions with the change language of all the policies. Any comments before we vote? Okay, all those in favor, please say, actually, let's do raise your hands again. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And all those opposed, please raise your hands. And Val, you captured that? Did Adriana vote? Did you vote, Adriana?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm not abstaining, I'm opposed. I apologize.
Thank you. And with that, motion carries. Thank you. The next policy is revisions to policy JGAB, the use of restraint and seclusion. Kathleen.
Hello. On May 27th, I brought forward the policy JGAB on restraint and seclusion. I didn't receive any questions. However, this policy incorporates new House bill alignment and two House bills primarily fly, House Bill 2939 and House Bill 2756. So my recommendation is to move forward. Thank you.
I move we approve the recommended revisions to policy JGAB, use of restraint and seclusion.
Thank you.
Second?
Any comments, questions? Okay, it's been moved by Monty and seconded by Adriana to approve the revisions to JGAB, use of restraint and seclusion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then next policy is revisions to policy JECB, admission of non-resident students. Yeah.
So just some changes in the policy reflective of the new House Bills 2747 and 4007, which modify the inter-district student transfer process. I believe it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you. Are you looking for a motion?
And I will move that we approve the recommended revision to policy JGAB, use of restraints and seclusion.
No, just make that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I do the wrong one? Oh, jeez. Okay, that's what I get.
We're admitting the students.
All right, JECB, admission of non-resident students, card yes.
Thank you, that's all right.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, moved by Glenn, seconded by Monty to approve the revisions to JECB. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Beth. And the last policy revision this evening is instructional goals with Steve.
So again, policy was brought at our last meeting to make an adjustment to policy IA instructional goals. We maintained what was in our previous policy, added what was recommended by OSBA. Brought back the question about the transportation and added when required. OSBA said that's great, that's appropriate. So it's given to you as a recommended policy change.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve the recommended revisions to policy IA instructional goals.
I'll second that since I don't think I'm competent to.
Any questions or comments for Steve?
I just appreciate Steve following up and getting a good reason.
Great. All right, so it's been moved by Janine, seconded by Glenn to approve the revisions to policy IA. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for going through that long list of action items. Next, we have a few items in the report of discussion. The first one is Adam for the budget committee.
Well, it's that time of year again. We just ran our budget committee through their paces, and we will have 2 vacancies on that committee next year. The one currently occupied by Kim Farrell, position 1, and position 2 currently occupied by Jennifer Reichley. So we just need to go through the process of announcing those vacancies and refilling them.
And do we offer, ask those members if they would like to return?
We send them a letter thanking them for their service and encouraging them to re-up if they're interested.
Okay. Any other questions for Adam regarding that? the next one is Travis and to announce Citizens Curriculum Advisory Committee vacancies. You need to stop sitting in the back row because he's coming out. You just stand in front. Move up.
So in accordance with policy IFF, the Board of Directors has established the Citizens Curriculum Advisory Committee. It provides citizens the opportunity to be involved in school curriculum and instructional program development and get input on curricular areas identified by the board. Terms of 7 members of the committee will expire on June 30, 2014, and there are 2 additional vacancies due to resignations. So there are a total of 9 members to be appointed by the board. We have a list in the packet of the members and who can appoint them. And I was also part of a conversation in the Citizens Curriculum Advisory Committee where we talked about how to get members to that committee with a little more formal process. The hope being that perhaps we could have more long-term investment from them as members of the committee and get to understand the work more. In order to talk about that conversation, Lisa Allen is accompanying me tonight. She's the chair of the Citizens Curriculum Advisory Committee and can share a little bit about the thought behind the recommendation in the situation page. Some text that was borrowed from the Budget Committee policy describing how the board appoints members of that committee. So.
Okay, so I have actually 2 suggestions for you on behalf of the committee, and I'll go into one. The first being, we would like to request as a committee that the selection process or the appointment process for the Citizens Curriculum Advisory Committee be changed a little bit to more parallel what you all do with the Budget Committee, as Travis said, to make it a more formal process. Our hope being that when a more formal or structured process happens, that people who are going through that application and discussion with you all are going to be a little bit more invested and dedicated to the process, because we did make some important decisions this year, but we also have a lot of really important decisions coming up, and so we want to make sure that we have invested, dedicated members from our community who are willing to do the work and be there and be informed and really make sure that we're representing our students and families as well as possible and making the best decisions on not decisions, because we don't actually decide anything, but that's recommendations to you all on behalf of that community. So we had a discussion at our last meeting, and we decided unanimously to ask that you consider changing the process so that it's a little bit more formally structured. So that's the first part. Should I go right now? Okay. The second part was not the original idea proposed, but then we kind of discussed it and rolled it around and had a great conversation and changed what we were going to ask you all to do. And part of that is we really enjoyed having the company of a student on our committee this year. We had 1 student with us all year long, and then a second student was recently appointed who attended our last couple meetings of the year. And we found that feedback from that student to be extremely helpful, and it really changed the direction of some of our conversations throughout the year in a positive way. Having that representation and that perspective was really helpful for us, because we all were sort of on our parent or community member mind, and to see a student kind of talk about and reflect on how the things that we were talking about affected them in the classroom was really helpful. So we'd like to request that in addition to changing to a more formal process, you reserve 2 of the 14 seats for students who are high school students in our district attending one of the 4 high schools, Hillsboro Online Academy or the Miller Education Center. We again unanimously agreed that that is something that we want as a committee, and we find that to be really important. So we'd like to do that. So we can answer questions.
Yeah, I've got Wayne, and then I'll go ahead, Spencer.
So what sets the structure for the number, for example? You said reserve 2. I'm not sure what constraints place 14 as the number and having to divide out. What prevents it from being 14 plus 2 students?
Right. Well, in the policy as written, it's you each of the 7 members of the board have 2 people that you can appoint. So that's where 14 comes from. We're asking that you change that a little bit, and you can each have your own 2 people. You as a board come together and agree like you do for the budget committee. So that number could theoretically change, but we also We talked about separately inviting students as sort of an advisory committee to our advisory committee, and we decided that would be a little bit too busy and there might be too many voices in the room, so we decided just merging them and making sure they have a voice and a vote. It's the best way to do that without increasing the number of people, because 14 really is a lot of people to have in a discussion, so we feel good about that number.
The other question I had was, in advertising it, when I've asked questions in the past, the response was largely about the once a month meeting, whereas I gather we're moving, and I hope we're moving more away from a single meeting like that and somehow investing the members of the committee in specific tasks that will take more time. And I wonder if being more clear and explicit about the expectations beyond just a once a month Monday night meeting or something will give people who are signing up more awareness of what is involved in the commitment, so that I don't think it'll scare them away, but I think it'll set expectations of what the members of that committee do.
So in my experience at the committee, the baseline commitment would be the once a month Monday meetings. And this year I can say that we've had Citizens Curriculum Advisory Committee members here at the board meetings. We've had opportunity for them to be in the classrooms where we're doing action research projects with teachers and students. And so there are other opportunities we're trying to build. One of the things that we've done to get feedback from the committee members themselves is we created a Google survey that allows them to talk about what they've been able to participate in, what their hours of commitment could be monthly, everything from that 1 or 2 hours a month to 10 or more hours, and then what they have as feedback about how they'd like to be involved as committee members. So we're seeking that feedback from the committee so that we can provide those opportunities, but also just sort of create those special opportunities beyond the once a month meetings. I appreciate that feedback, and we hear that from committee members that they'd like to be more involved. We're trying to figure out what that means and how to get them involved beyond the requests that we've made.
The one more step after doing that, I would be explicit about what kind of opportunities you intend to offer the committee members and arrange for that, but do that at least enough detail ahead of time so that you can set the expectation when people are applying to say, as members of the committee, you will be not only coming to monthly meetings, but expected to join one of several sub-activities to become invested in a topic. And from year to year, the topics will change, but the kind of setting the expectation will help get us good, strong candidates.
That's good feedback. So including that in our advertisement for potential members as well.
Okay, yeah, so just as a former member of the curriculum committee, I'm going to say I think these are great ideas. Yeah, I totally agree with them. I also had a question. So I was just reading the policy on the curriculum committee. It actually seems rather vague. So the question is, can we sort of decide to do a budget committee-like application process without modifying the policy, or would it really require a policy change here? Anyone know the answer?
In reviewing the policies and also looking at the policy that describes how the budget committee is appointed, I can say that I agree with you, Eric, that it is vague in the one that describes the appointment of the CCAC members. It seemed clearer. I guess the change that we might recommend, if it's in the interest of the board to make these changes, or the first one, is to borrow the 2 paragraphs from the budget committee description and just put it there to describe the appointment process in a little more detail. What's interesting though is I might add that the policy that describes the budget committee also allows for a lot of leeway in how that plays out. So it doesn't necessarily, it's not very descriptive in either policy. I think the board would decide how that looks in August, just like we do for the budget committee when it usually happens during a work session.
So what is it that sets the 2 per board member thing, if not the policy? I assume that
it is the policy. It is the policy.
Yeah. So that would, if we were changing, if we were to do what we discussed of treating like board and when that was originally said, I thought we were just talking about the application process. Had thought about the element of the 2 approvals. I've always found it strange how that was actually present in policy. So wouldn't we have to change that policy?
Yeah, well, let me just read the actual policy in question here. It says, the composition of the committee shall be 2 representatives per board member. All appointments shall be presented for board approval. So I think that's left vague enough that we could actually have a budget committee-like application. The two per board member, I think, in this policy, as I read it, governs the number, but it doesn't actually govern the application process, if that's correct.
Go grab comments down here, Glenn, and then Janine.
So if I understand what you're thinking of, then would be that, because we still, as a board, we appoint the person to a slate, and then we vote the slate as a board anyway. So we would draw from the group of applicants who went through the process, filled it out. We can only pick those, and if we wanted somebody of our own, then they'd have to come in and fill out an application, and then at that point, their names in the hat, and then we can draw the ones we want. Okay.
And what we've done with the budget committees, it's usually a subcommittee of the board that if you have more applicants than you have spaces, we've done in the past like an interview process, reviewed the applications, and then interviewed candidates, and that subcommittee's brought forth the slate of recommendations if you have a lot of people interested. Any other questions, comments? I love having participated in action stuff. Love that there were citizens curriculum committee members there. We learned as much from them, especially with the math adoption, as I think they learned from going. The PCC professor, after we visited and saw the little quiz that took the game class, you sat there next to her classroom setting. And so I love that. It's a great tool. Anyone else?
So where do we go from here?
I think we have until August for the board to describe the process for those appointments. In August, we announced, it looks like that the recommendation is that we nominate the candidates at the August board meeting if the board has nominees. And we'll also, the recommendation also includes that you request that we advertise this in the community, which is a step we've already taken to get broader representation in the CCAC. So right now we would start an advertising campaign to get interest from the community. In August, I believe we would hear from board members if you have nominees specifically, and then what Kim was describing as a process of figuring out who the candidates are, they'd actually be confirmed or appointed in September, and the first CCAC meeting is in October.
So what do we need to do as a board?
I
don't think
Travis, can we propose that you come back to us in July with a formal proposal that we can act on?
To change the
how you want to change, if you want to change the policy and change the number of people and line up, it would be 2, so that way in August we can announce those and have those applications ready to go. That's okay.
Yeah, well, I don't think we necessarily want to propose a policy change, right? I like the idea of leaving the policy vague so we're flexible, right? So maybe just proposing the process, right? Not necessarily proposing a new policy.
Just the only concern I would have about that is that we really do want to make sure that you have, for posterity's sake, it documented that we want 2 students, 14 members, and I wouldn't want that to get lost in translation in 3 years or 20 years. So we would like that to be written somewhere official, and I guess in the policy. I know the policy changes are a pain, and I'm sorry.
Is there an alternative proposal that adds 2 student representatives to the existing committee?
We did not like that as a committee. We discussed adding the folks, and we agreed again as a group that there would just be too many people in the room, that we'd be getting to 16, and it's just a lot. So if that's what you're giving us, then we'll do that.
So again, we'll add you to the agenda and come back in July. Great. Okay.
We'll work on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before Lisa goes, are you on the agenda anymore tonight, Lisa?
No, I went home.
So before you go home, thank you for the hours that you put in on this. Your involvement, your commitment to this process, I see you everywhere. And most recently at the math. The math visits. There's a fancier name for that. But your level of commitment and the degree to which you're informed and all this is just really impressive. So thank you for all your time.
Thank you. And also thank you for all your work. I agree with that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so then we have a list of first readings, and again, these are, because they're first readings, you can ask some questions this evening, but also remember you have a window of time to do follow-up questions as well. And the first one is Matt. The ones we started the work session tonight.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to present to you the first reading of policy JFG searches. This policy was revised according to the expressed concerns of the board. We gathered council feedback, gathered feedback from our administrators, and have discussed this in various forums throughout the spring. What you see in front of you is the recommended language for the policy JFG searches based on that feedback.
Yeah, Glenn.
All right, just one small point. I actually agree with the policy. Thank you for the work, so I'm not going to get in trouble that way. But I just had one question. In the second paragraph where it says, if district officials have, it used to say reasonable suspicion, then it went to be reason to believe. And I'm fine with that either way. But then down in the point one, it actually brings back the reasonable suspicion language, and I thought that was a little bit confusing because they ought to be the same. So other than that, I'm fine with it. Just a little linguistic thing, I think.
Just make them match.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Matt now? Okay, so just remember, if you have questions over the next little bit, Matt's your guy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And the next one is policy JFCEB. Also came earlier this evening around personal communication devices and social media. Don.
So I get to present this board policy to you, which was adopted in May of 2011. And essentially all that's recommended here is just updating the language a little bit, adding smartphones and tablets, and removing the term personal digital assistants and PDAs.
Anyone have any questions this evening?
Electric walkie-talkies.
They're still out there. They're still out there. Students still do use them, actually. And so do adults.
I haven't called that since I was in 5th grade.
I don't, what else do you call them?
Short-range radio.
Short-range.
Thank you, Don. The next one is policy JFCJ weapons in schools and GBJ weapons in schools.
This is actually the result of House Bill 2192, which we talked about in the previous policies. Really, what it does is it expands the definitions of weapons, removes the zero tolerance like it did in the other policies. And also what this does is it separates weapons in schools for staff and students. Those are the main differences from our previous policy.
Anyone have questions?
Go ahead.
Just one thing that appeared kind of odd to me in this policy, I don't know if this is something that we have to worry about, but it just, we talked about in the weapons in the schools, it says, talks about things within 1,000 feet.
Yeah, Gun-Free Zones Act?
Yeah, but I mean, can we set policies for things that happen outside the boundaries of our school properties?
With regards to what specifically?
Well, I mean, we can tell people, hey, if you're within 500 feet of this building, you're not allowed to, do something, but we don't have any power of law.
Yeah, we can't tell people, we can tell our students and our staff.
Okay, so if a student is 1,000 feet away, outside the boundaries of our school property, and does not have a gun, the school has the power to discipline them? I guess that's what I was wondering about.
Okay, so this does get a little complicated. The Federal Gun-Free Zone Act is what it is. It says that no person shall have a weapon within that 1,000 feet of the school. You also have to look at the state requirements, which are what Oregon goes by, which is a little bit different than that. So when we had the discussion a while back about the individual who was walking in front of one of our schools with an open weapon, he wasn't violating an Oregon law. And so what our law enforcement agencies have to do is respect the Oregon ORS, et cetera. So policies in general do reference the Gun-Free Zone Act, because as a nation, it's an act that's in practice right now, but also Oregon has its own caveats for those enforcements regarding to OARs and those kinds of things.
Okay. But I guess I don't think you answered my main question. Okay. Are we allowed to do anything about it if someone is outside of school property, right? Someone who might be a student is 1,000 feet away from the school, happens to have a gun. We take out our binoculars, see, hey, he has a gun.
We notify law enforcement. We notify law enforcement, and they will deal with that. We don't address folks with weapons.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess it just seemed kind of odd to me that we have a policy about things that happen outside our property. But I guess maybe that's just because of the weirdness of the law.
Just a hypothetical, and it comes from my past, so it's just for thought more than anything else. A female employee walking to their car at night feels unsafe, so they carry a weapon. How would we respond as a district to that person in that she fears for her safety, and we're saying we're going to discipline her if her or him, doesn't matter, if it's found out. And then kind of the second question to that is, if you're a staff person and you know another staff person has a handgun in her purse, or just because of those reasons, are you also obligated to report that person?
So the first one, your example with the female employee, we would have law enforcement. We need to realize what the concern is to address that concern, and we have a lot of different ways to address those concerns in partnership with law enforcement. We have enforcement agencies that we can work with the employee on the concern. The second one, in regards to the employee's duty to notify staff of an employee, I don't remember reading that in the policy as a responsibility of an employee to notify us of another. We do not want our employees or students to have weapons.
No, I understand that. I understand. But at the same time, this person fears for their safety. How would we discipline them if we found out? And what do they do if, if we have somebody walk them out to their car? Well, that person isn't there that night.
Again, I think that gets into a larger picture of law enforcement responsibility. I mean, we have these cases that come up quite often with, instances of stalking. So you have to rely on the legal system to address that employee's concern of safety. And law enforcement has a lot of ways to do that. And that's what we have to rely on.
Okay.
I just don't think there's a way to have exceptions to a no weapons.
No, and I understand that, but it's just the discipline of the employee when they're fearing for their safety. That's the conundrum, I guess, more than anything else. Is we don't want them carrying guns, but at the same time, they fear for their safety, and they don't think we can provide a safe environment for them. And I think that's a discussion of whether they want to continue as an employee at the district, but at the same time, I'm not sure what kind of discipline we need to take in a situation like that. Food for thought.
Yeah, it's tough to come up with the answer to that, but if we had a staff member that were violating this policy, it would be very serious discipline. I mean, I would guess we would be looking at dismissal.
Well, and that's my point is, we've got a person that's fearing for their safety, and we're going to fire them for it. So it's...
Well, yeah, I think they would have to take another option besides carrying something that's designated as a weapon. We would have to...
Something like mace?
Mace, yes.
Something like that.
Okay.
Does that, what was the answer?
It doesn't meet the definition of a deadly weapon.
Eric?
Yeah, I was just going to say, as I read this policy, it does leave some flexibility in the exact form of the discipline, right? So you can take into account. But I think, in terms of your larger point, Monty, I think, a lot of us on the board probably disagree with the concept of gun-free school zones. But I think if we have a debate here on the Second Amendment, we'll be here till like 3 a.m.
Okay, so my question actually is more of a general, because I must admit I don't know enough about the federal school zones deal. my understanding, amateur, lawyerish, is that the federal law would trump anything that the state would do, right? Unless the state was constraining it more. Okay. I guess I don't know enough about this thing really to comment intelligently on it, but other than the fact that I know that we have this, we've decided, the feds have decided that it's a good thing not to have the guns, in the school area, but yet I know, I read the paper the other day that other districts are going to actually, I think somebody in Washington is actually going to have some people that have it. But if it's federal law, how can they do that? See, it doesn't really apply to us because we're not contemplating that at the moment. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I need more research, I guess.
So the state ORS does trump the federal law when it comes to gun rights and responsibilities.
We learned that when we had the incident over by Brown with the person carrying a weapon that was open.
So even though Oregon's is less restrictive, it would trump federal law?
Right. It came down to would Oregon enforce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our local law enforcement will not necessarily force the Gun Act law.
But they need the presence.
Yeah, we thought so too.
Okay. Thank you, neighbors. Okay, right, no more comments? Great, thank you very much. The next policy for first reading is policy JHCBA, administering injectable medicines to students. Elaine.
Hello again. So this is the first reading of policy JHCBA, administering injectable medicines to students. And there are three kind of pieces to this, most of which are pretty minor. The first area of highlighting that you see basically says if there's no nurse, then somebody who's trained to be injecting medicine in their place can go ahead and do that. And that's how we function now. So that's the first part there. The second part basically just ensures that the district will allow a parent to request a backup EpiPen be placed in a classroom or somewhere where the student would need it in addition to the normal health room placement where it's locked up. So students have a couple of options in terms of accessing the EpiPen. And then basically the third part just adds non-injectable, it adds injectable medicines along with non-injectable medicines in terms of just storage procedures. So fairly simple, but.
Anyone have any questions?
Just curious, so what is the stance on some age range of student anyway carrying an EpiPen? I don't know if it's disallowed for all students or if it is for
students carry an EpiPen? Typically, students don't carry their own EpiPens. They're generally locked in a health room cabinet, or as now it would be allowable to have in the classroom in a certain location. We do have staff that carry EpiPens when students are off campus on field trips and those kinds of things.
What about, I mean, I can see that in a smaller environment, perhaps of an elementary. Does the same thing apply in a large high school?
I believe it does, but I will definitely double check that and I will let you know. So, but yes, I believe it does.
And is it against policies? I mean, if they're caught with an EpiPen, they get dragged out or?
We don't drag them.
That's not, what is the?
Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to check for you. I have to do a little research on it.
Yeah, those are some good questions. I'll need to get back to you with some really specific answers on those, but I'll be happy to do that.
I wouldn't have been surprised at this at elementary school. I guess it would surprise me in the high school that one that the student could be entrusted with many other things wouldn't have access to their own emergency health supplies.
We'll find out for you.
If the nurse is absent, who normally would be a trained person?
So we have, that's a good question. We have health room assistants and we also have various staff, such as coaches and other staff who are trained. And it really is, every building has health room assistant staff that is there So they might have even multiple health room assistant staff that are trained, so they can always have somebody there who would know what to do. In the event of a field trip or some sort of off-campus sport event or something like that, always somebody would be trained. If it's not the regular health room assistant, it would be the coach or another staff. And our nurse team does a huge amount of training each year. And also if a need arises that specifically needs to be addressed for a specific situation that a student is in, they'll just do an individual training to make sure the situation is covered.
Any other questions for Louise? Okay, and Elaine has the next policy.
Okay, so the next policy is policy IGBAJ, special education, free and appropriate public education, or as known as we call it, FAPE. The main change in this one, or the main kind of addition to this one where it's highlighted, is basically that our students who are in charter schools that are located within the district all need to be served with special education services. And those students may or may not originally be Hillsboro students, but if they are attending that charter school in the district, we would provide all the regular services that we would for any other student in the district.
Do we currently already provide special education services at City View, correct?
Absolutely. And we staff City View in terms of special education the way that we staff every other school.
Okay. Any other questions for them? So if you have questions over the next 30 days, we'll try to also remind you in weekly updates that when those final readings and actions are coming. Thank you. All right, Mr. Adams, financial report.
We're coming right down to the end of the year. Obviously, in the business office, we ran 2 of our 4 payrolls for the month of June today. We'll run the balance of them later this week. Audit preparation, lots of work on the bond refunding this past week. So busy time. Happy to answer any questions you might have regarding anything in the report.
Monty?
Student accident report? Why, other than your great leadership, would we have such a drop-off?
Well, you'll notice that June is not included in there yet.
Right, yeah, it's normally 30.
Yeah. I would attribute it to my grade.
Good enough.
Anyone else have questions? Yes. Great, thank you very much. And next is HCU, HEA reports. Which one of you would like to go first? Awesome, HCU.
So with us winding down into the summer, we're all looking into doing planning and organizing for next year and strategies on what we're going to do in the coming year. I would just like to mention and sort of point out that the districts itself as a whole, as a large body, has the power to invest or target investments in certain areas, in students, and teachers, and staff, or in classified. We've seen a whole lot of investment pushed towards teachers, a whole lot of investment pushed towards students. In classified, we see a little bit, but we don't feel like there's a lot of investment in classified. There is the hours and the additional money is beneficial, but it's the other little things. It's like calendars that start the same day that students do. It's the lack of a decent computer in some cases. Teachers are getting these great, wonderful MacBooks that are going to be running around, or Apple hardware, I think is the correct term. But a lot of the teacher computers are going to be put somewhere based off of the needs of students, and there hasn't been a whole lot of conversation around classified staff. I know that some classified, a large majority of our classified staff do have decent computers, but I know on some of them they're still working here and there. There are really old computers, and it's hard for them to do their work. And that happens a lot of because computer decisions and a lot of these different decisions are of where things are placed and who gets invested in goes to the principals. And the principals are tasked with really focusing on student achievement. They're really, from our perspective, is that they're focused on making sure students have a great education. They're not necessarily always 100% focused on the needs of classified staff.
And there is communication and there is conversation, but there's only so many hours in the day. And this continual push towards allowing local control and local decisions of all these different things makes it difficult for classified to be heard, because they have to speak up and they have to, fight with the needs of students, with the needs of license. And we could really use some district level decisions of, hey, all the libraries need 2 days. That needs to happen to set up their labs. Kitchen managers need 2 days to get their classes together. Technology services or STCs or tech facilitators, they need 2 days at the end of school to help close everything down so summer projects can start. And I just really encourage you that as you go into your strategy sessions to really think about where do you want to start investing additional monies or additional tax revenue over the coming years. Because we know we can't do anything about it now, and we appreciate what we've done, but we always got to keep looking forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, with that, Superintendent.
First of all, as we found ourselves responding to the Reynolds situation today, we were shaking our heads, just sad that we had to do it. Our response included a message on the website, a message out to staff, a message out to parents, and really proud of the work that we've done in safety. Casey really has led so many of these efforts when it comes to the safety protocols that we have and the building and partnerships that we have in our community with law enforcement. But really, I just wanted to say that our thoughts go out to the folks in Reynolds who have been impacted by this. It's a big event, and it's even as far away as we are, it shakes our educational community as well. So Casey, thanks to you for all the work that you do in that, and the work that you continue to do in that. But I'd also like to thank you for my positive evaluation, much appreciated. It is no secret that I don't do this work alone by a long stretch. The cabinet that we have, Steve, Debbie, and Adam, and Beth, and Val, and Lori, the work that you guys do is absolutely appreciated and so impressive. I've said so many times that we have such a high-powered team, and so when we get an evaluation like this, it really is a we, it's not an I. And it's not just cabinet, it's everyone who sits out here, and it's just the work that you guys do is so appreciated, so thank you very much. I know it's my name that was on the evaluation, but I really consider it all of our efforts, so thanks everybody for the work that you do. And then finally, I'm so glad that at this time of year we reflect and we celebrate a bit, and the best part of me performance that we had tonight, I think that's just such a great way for us to end the year. Seeing the confidence and pride of those students up there as they got to speak their piece and they got to show the work that they've done. I think that's a characteristic of the experience that so many of our students have. So it was a great way to end the year. So thanks everybody.
Thank you. Okay, I think I started that way last time, so I'm starting this way this time. Go ahead.
All right. Well, first off, of course, I wanted to comment on Riddles as well. I appreciate the leadership that you had shown by bringing that letter out. It was, one of those things that's like, damn, so close to home, it's just like, it wasn't the way I wanted to spend my day thinking about that at all. So, but I think you did a good job, responding to that. So thank you, the staff, for being proactive like that. I know a lot of hours go into all of the training that we do behind the scenes to make those things that appear instant happen were many hours of planning the process. So I just appreciate and value that. The other thing I wanted to touch on, of course, was being up on the platform for the graduations. That was so much fun to be up there. I just loved hitting on all those things. Congratulations. It was chaotic and crazy, but it was worth it to go to all 6 of them. So I'm just looking forward to next year doing the same thing again. So with that, it's late.
Thank you, Janine.
I just wanted to say that, as well as to mirror those comments regarding Reynolds High School, I was a little discouraged sometimes when where our conversation was going tonight, especially given in light of today's events. I was kind of surprised by that, and we talked about in some of those that were mentioned. I really want to urge folks that we as a board, ask that our staff is highly qualified, and looks to professional development, and I think it's important that we mirror that in our district. And I think it's important that we look to different trainings, such as OSBA training. When we ask our staff to do that and invest in their time and to do that, we should be doing that ourselves. And you can do it online, you can do it in person. I think that there is a positive note for doing it in person because you do get to meet up with other districts and have conversations and have networking and build relationships with neighboring districts. And so I would really like to see the board take a more serious effort in looking at that. It was a complete highlight, graduations. I as well was able to attend the graduations and be able to see the different the highlights, the different flavors that each graduation have. And it highlights the work that's being done in the district by so many. Our graduation rates, I believe, are higher than the state average. And I think that's, is it 100%? It isn't, but it is stellar and it is to be commended. And that work is not done alone. And I think that it's really special when you are able to see these different graduations and see these students who have overcome so many challenges and obstacles and be first generation high school graduates, first generation to go to college. I think that's super exciting to see and hear about. So that I will say thank you, and look forward to hoping that all staff members enjoy, take a breather for the summer, and get re-energized.
Monty?
Yeah, I was in Eastern Washington this morning and in an assisted living facility, and just happened to walk by the TV, and I saw, a shooting, a school shooting, I think was the headline, and I stuck my head in and just, where is it now? And when I saw Troutdale, Oregon, my heart just sunk because, that's really close. And my heart goes out to those people. The other thing is, it was great at the graduation ceremonies, handing out those diplomas. I'm not sure if it's got anything to do with the improving economy, but we saw less high heels this year than we normally do in the ladies.
There was a lot of practical shoes.
There's a lot of practical shoes. I don't know if that has something to do with it. And I also would like to say that even though our published graduation rates, if you really look at the numbers, our rates are even higher than that. We're in the 91, 92% range. And I think we just need to make sure our constituents understand that and make sure that they understand that.
Awesome. Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, well, it's late, so I don't have much to add. Night, everyone.
I know everyone's heard, obviously it's been some time, but I just wanted to reflect again and share some thoughts. Maya Angelou, we know she died, passed away, and I was just super surprised to see within my age group, a little bit younger, a little bit older, who didn't know who she was. And you don't know, and not because of who she was, an African-American, how could you have not been blessed with her work or know who she was? And I just wanted to touch on that and just say, and I didn't know about her because I didn't learn about her in school. I came upon her, happened upon her after. But, I was having a conversation with my son's teacher about Benjamin Banneker. I don't know, Banneker, or she says, now he's in our history books and we didn't know who he was before, but he was George Washington's map maker. And I don't know who he was. So just on that note, just sharing, it's good to start seeing, even if it is, I would say, just a small corner, in our textbooks, but it just really deeply saddened me. Not because of her, but because of, not being able to know who she was. And just reflecting on Reynolds, I think a lot of her work is a movement in light in all this darkness that we see and happening. And I think some of her main quote, be a rainbow in someone's cloud, is something that I think we all need to be to each other, especially with what happens, in our schools and things like that. So I just wanted to, take a moment as we end the school year to be able to share, her work and things. And I just wanted to share that at the end of the year. Wayne?
It's been an exciting year, and graduations were always exciting. It was very fun, fulfilling to attend many of those. And I was also thankful over the course of the year to be able to visit in the various math classrooms at the elementary and middle school and see the application of some of the principles that have been talked about. Most recently in Evergreen was a very interesting visit, watching students interact with each other, with the teacher, and getting a long discussion with the teacher on how she felt in the process of implementing some of the changes. So it was very helpful to witness firsthand those things. In addition to that, it was very interesting to go to the, what do we call it, the technology evaluation curriculum visits. The pilot projects. What was it?
Action research.
The action research, thank you. I really look forward to feedback from those. I don't know when that's scheduled to come, but it's really exciting alternatives to see what can be done in the classroom to maybe ditch the books and get even better curriculum and learning capabilities through the technology. So it's really exciting, and I'm interested to see how that all comes up. So with that, great to hear. Thank you to all the staff who's done great work.
And I will echo everyone as well. Graduations are always a blast. Hill High for sure had the best shoes. And also the best energy. That graduation felt like a party from start to finish, which was really fun. And it's such a privilege to hand diplomas, but especially when you get to hand diplomas to students that you know or that you have seen grown up. I got this year finally got kids who we preschooled with. And so to know kids from the age of 2 or 3 and then have them their high school diploma is about the best payment for this non-paid job ever. And also appreciate how many teachers are really taking school seriously right now. My students and their friends are complaining about working until the bitter end, and I just think that's the best thing we could be doing. And so kudos to teachers who are really working till the bitter end and taking our time seriously. I really appreciate that. And with that, it is late. We are adjourned.